Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.
Welcome to episode 39 of the Two Bobs cast. We are the Two Bobs going A to Z. We are at Z today. We have made it. Congratulations, Mr. H. How you doing, Mr. H?
Been better, but that's for different reasons. I'm doing good. Good.
Yeah, we made it to Z. Everybody out there thought we couldn't make it. They thought we had no chance.
For the first time, we have reached the end of the alphabet.
So
it's the first of many.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how many more Z's we're going to have to do later, but we'll worry about that next time.
Yeah, probably not a whole lot of Z's.
Probably not. We'll have special edition shows, but
yeah,
we've reached it for the first time. So congratulations to us.
Yes, we made it. 39 episodes. It took us 39 episodes to get A to Z. Because we did do a few duplicates for those letters that have a million bands. We did some classics and some things like that, but only one Z band that we could come up with right off the top of our heads, and we're going to dig into the Texas trio ZZ Top today.
Boogie
Blues, hard Southern rock. Interesting. I mean, obviously these guys can jam, no doubt about it. I can't say that I am into any of these styles of music a lot, but I will give them credit. You know,
part of what makes it fun, right?
Yeah, it is fun, and they do have a lot of like recognizable songs that. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're a big band. You know, Spotify. We always kind of look at Spotify and see what are they doing.
What are they doing?
Did I see 20 million listeners? I think.
Really? A month?
Yeah, I think. Hold on, I'm gonna double check.
Shock me. I didn't look. I honestly didn't, but that would be shocking.
Yeah. Oh no, it's 11. I'm sorry.
Okay.
11.
Well,
11 million.
A lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, but 11 million monthly listeners on Spotify, which means people are still listening. You know, so.
Oh yeah.
Which again, I don't know. I don't know why that surprises me.
More than a lot of bands we've done.
Yeah.
So I mean, 11 still surprises me. Even even at that, 20 I would have been like, what?
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah. So I think that I don't even know if I did the whole intro, but you know what? I introduced us.
You did, here. And then I started talking, and then we're both here. We're both good.
Yep. So what do you got about ZZ Top? Let's roll.
What do I got about ZZ Top? Well, first we've got 15 albums, so you're right. We better start rolling because we got a lot to get through here. Yep. So, all right. Formed in 1969 in Houston, Texas. Billy Gibbons, guitar, mostly vocals, although sometimes the bass player sings too. Frank Beard on drums. We'll get to the name significance later, which is interesting. And Dusty Hill on bass. This is the only lineup they've had from album one. They had a couple more guys before, but they're not even worth mentioning because they never came back. Yep. It's the only lineup for 51 years until Dusty Hill's death in 2021. That's amazing. I mean, it's only three guys. You got less personalities to clash there, which is probably helpful. But man, 51 years with the same three dudes. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And awesome. So
yeah.
The name came from Billy Gibbons noticing posters on his wall when he first started playing and realized there were a few posters there, and it was at a time when people were using double initials in the name of their band. So like B.B. King, for instance, and ZZ Hill was another one. And he thought about combining them into ZZ King. This is something I never knew, so I thought this was interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know
He
this.
thought about combining them into ZZ King, but then thought that it was too close to BB King and ZZ Hill, and he didn't want to get confused with those. He didn't want his group to be confused with those. So he then thought that King is at the top, and he came up with ZZ Top. And from then on, they were known as ZZ Top. After they solidified the lineup of these three guys, they signed with London Records and released their first album in 1971.
I always forget what the name of their first record is. I always forget.
That first album is called ZZ Top's first album. I know. It's crazy. Who would use that?
I don't know. Crazy.
But yeah, so I know it's hard to remember, but ZZ Top's first album. Crazy. January 16th, 1971. So for those scoring at home, that was 54 years and 3 months, almost 4 months ago. 10 songs produced by their manager, Bill Ham, who is a guy you're going to hear his name mentioned 12 times, I think, or something.
Yeah.
So he was the producer and their manager, and he produced a lot of this stuff. So they incorporated styles such as blues, boogie, hard rock, southern rock, kind of some country here and there. They only released one single off of this album called Somebody Else Been Shaking Your Tree. Somebody else been shaking your tree, Hurd?
No, we're not going to start those rumors.
Yeah, let's not do that. Has Wu-Tang been shaking your tree?
No, they don't. They talk about different kind of trees, Mr. H.
Oh, yeah, they're right. The ones that smoke.
That's the one.
They definitely do. Yes, the hippie lettuce kind.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. This album didn't chart at all. This album was named, I know, hard to remember, but was named so that people would know they planned to release more. There was actually a method behind the madness of ZZ Top's first album. Who knew? Anyway, my favorites on this album are Brown Sugar. This is an album I've never listened to until we did this. Until I listened to all these for this podcast. I've never once listened to this album or the next one. There's no huge songs on here that I would have heard growing up or anything, so there was no reason for me to ever know that it existed, really. So, and it was also released a year before my birth, so it wasn't like I was really around to who are these guys?
Yeah.
But anyway, my favorites are Brown Sugar, Going Down to Mexico is a really good song, and Neighbor Neighbor. So these are the songs that I liked. I have no skippers on here, which is pretty shocking. Considering this isn't like you, this isn't really a type of music that I go to very often. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
But this is definitely more just straight blues, this album. They kind of sped things up a little bit, which is where the boogie blues moniker kind of came from, that they are kind of known for, but not so much on this album yet. So this was a little slower, but it's all pretty good. Mm-hmm. So I have this out of 15 albums. I have this rated number 6. As a B-. I have this as a pretty solid debut. It sounds great in headphones with lots of balance play between the ears. It sounds awesome. It really does. For 3 guys, I'm like, man, they really did a good job recording this out because it really sounds cool. Right from the beginning, it sounds cool. It's kind of a slowish blues, like I mentioned. It's not necessarily my thing most of the time, but it is really good. I think I'd come back to this one when I'm in the mood, but I have this as a B- and number 6 out of 15. What did you think of ZZ Top's? What was it called again? First album. That's right. What was it?
Their first album, called ZZ Top's first album, was okay. I agree with you. It's really good stuff. The only problem I really had with it is it all kind of, I guess you kind of hinted towards it. It all kind of flows together. There's not a lot of moments where you're like, that's a good song, or I'll come back to this song. So I was listening to it, but it all kind of draw together beginning to end. I kind of had to look at it and I was like, what song am I on? Because I couldn't really tell where the one ended and the next one started. So it's good. I like it. I think later on Billy Gibbons starts doing more of the soloing, which I really like. This is a lot of just blues riffs. Very good. I'm pretty much right alongside you on this one. I do really like the first song, the Shaking Your Tree. Brown Sugar to me was pretty good. And I liked going down to Mexico, like you said, and backdoor love affair. The close.
I thought we weren't starting rumors.
We're not starting rumors. At least I didn't go to bedroom thang.
Oh yeah, that's true. You're
just
right.
got back from babies. But,
yeah, all those are together, by the way.
Yeah.
Bedroom thing just got back from babies and backdoor love affair. I'm like, were they trying to tell a little story there? Maybe
I'm sure they were. This
it seems like they do a lot of that.
They do. So
kind of hidden meaning stuff,
right? Yeah,
not so hidden meaning.
Not so hidden. A lot of their stuff's pretty out there, in your face. You know what they're talking about.
We'll get a couple of those.
This is number 7 for me. So basically, right alongside what you had, I had it as a B- as well. Right in the middle of their catalog. I feel like it's a good debut. It kind of set a demarcation line for them of a good place to start. I think they get a lot better, and I think later on they get a lot worse. So I think it's a really good starting spot for them. So ZZ Top first album, B-, number 7 for me.
All right. So yeah, I agree with you where it kind of all sounds sort of the same, but I have a bigger problem with that later on that I'll get to in more recent albums that are closer to now. There's like 3 that I swear are all the same, and I'm like, what? I was getting lost. I'm like, what one am I even on? So this one, yes, song to song they're pretty similar and there's not much change, but man, there's some albums there that are all just the same for me later. But all right, on to ZZ Top's second album. Oh wait, no, it's not called second album.
I wish they would have kept that up.
That would have been so funny.
Respected the hell out of that.
Album. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to rank those? At number 10, I have number 12 or number wait, what?
Oof. Yeah.
That would be weird. But this one's called Rio Grande Mud. So yes, it's named after the river that divides Texas from Mexico, and there is a guy in the mud. I think on the cover, all 3 of them, are in the mud in the river on the cover. So this is April 4th, 1972, 10 songs. Once again, Bill Ham, you guessed it, Bill Ham produced. Billy Gibbons said this was the first record that got them into the writing experience they would use going forward. I always find these things fascinating, like where do they get their like inspiration from to write songs? So he said this is the first time they would use this where they put out an album, they go on tour, they observe things on the road, and they carry a great big book with them. And they write things in the book of things that they see, interesting things that they find, and they form a kind of a skeleton of ideas for songs from there. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, it's pretty kind of, in your face. Like you would think that would be the way a lot of people write songs, but I just like to hear that from people. And there's a lot of cool quotes from Billy Gibbons where somebody did a really good job of fishing out some quotes on like almost on each album. There's a quote on what he felt like was the theme of the album, or, how they came up with certain songs or certain themes even for albums or certain sounds even. So he's apparently really upfront about that stuff, which I like. The only single released off of this one was Francine, which I believe is the first song.
Yes. Sir.
And it did chart on Billboard at number 69 it peaked at. So the album peaked at 104 on the Billboard. I'm going to talk about chart stuff here on a lot of these albums because there really isn't a lot of out there as far as detail goes. So
sure.
I'll just throw that stuff in there just for something to talk about. The song Francine is a bit more up-tempo than anything on the first album. And this is the kind of ZZ Top that I like. A little quicker pace, a little less slow, plodding blues songs. I like the blues stuff. The blues stuff leads to a lot of great stuff that happened in the 80s. Think like Rat or, like hard rock stuff, but use this blues bass and then kind of rocked it up even more. That's what I like. So there's a little bit more of that on here. They're not all the songs, but there are some quicker tempo songs on here that I liked a lot more. And to me, that's the ZZ Top sound, the boogie blues kind of sound. But I liked Francine. I liked Just Got Paid, Cocoa Blue, and Whiskey and Mama. I don't know really what that's supposed to mean. I didn't listen to the song a whole bunch of times, but that one was written by all 3 members and the producer, which there's a few of those on here.
Yep.
So I thought that was interesting, and it's a good song. And again, I didn't have any skippers on here. There's nothing for me that I was like, whoa. Now there are some later, but on the first two albums, I'm like, there's nothing. Like, it all, like you said, it all kind of sounds similar. So there's really nothing that's like, whoa, what is this? I can't do that. So there's none of that. So I had this as a B minus. I like it a little bit more than the last one. So I had the last one, the first album, at 6. I had this album at 5. I just like the little quicker tempo on about half of the songs. So some of it has almost an early AC/DC-ish vibe to it on some of the quicker tempo songs. The song, for instance, like Down Brownie, which is the last on the album, that one really sounded a lot like AC/DC to me. Not so much vocally, but instrumentally, even though it's only 3 guys.
Right.
AC/DC's 5 guys. So that really kind of really stuck with me. So anyway, I have this as B minus, number 5 out of 15. What did you think of Rio Grande Mud?
Yeah, actually bringing that up, that makes me think about, being that they're a trio, listening, and you mentioned headphones. Listening to their albums in headphones, you can hear that it's just 3 guys. Like, you don't hear, like some of these other bands, like that only have a couple guys. You hear like the layering. Like, if they only have one guitarist while they're playing a solo, they'll like layer it.
So true.
But with this, you can hear every part that they do.
Yep.
And it really, I guess, makes me even appreciate more the bass playing.
Yes.
Because he's like
Absolutely.
playing, it reminds, like Pantera, I feel like, where you have Rex. Like, a lot of times he's playing like a lead bass part, especially live. Now, I know they layer Dimebag a lot on the albums, but you can hear live where Rex is playing a lot of the lead bass parts while Dimebag is riffing. This is kind of the same thing, but I feel like on the album you can hear their parts, and I love that. They're not hiding the fact that they're 3 guys. They're 3 guys playing their parts really well, and it fits the track really nicely.
Sure does. You don't hear that, like, him soloing. You're like, who's playing this other guitar that I'm hearing? Because it's not. There's only 3 dudes. He can't play both.
Right. So absolutely, I had to mention that. You reminded me of that. So listening to it is great. This album, to me, I think I'm going just the other way on it, where I like it a little less than the first. To me, I feel like less than a lot of other bands. With the second record, I don't feel like they really moved the needle all that much, and I feel like that comes a little bit later. But this, it just feels really similar to the first one. And this one, I feel like, has a couple of the good singles on it, like songs, where I said last time, the last album, it just all kind of seemed like it flew together. This one, it's like the first few songs to me, Francine, Just Got Paid, are good songs. And then I feel like they went right back into it just all kind of went together, which is fine. Again, it still sounds good. But to me, I think I would rather put on that first record than this one by a small margin. Again, sounds really good. I like the sound that they're going for, but just at this point, it hasn't evolved enough for me into actual songs. So for me, this one is a C plus, just a little bit behind it. Number 8 for me. So again, first one, number 7. I went up. I'm sorry, I went down 1 with 8, and you went up 1 from 6 to 5. So I think we're just going a little bit different directions, but I think we're really close here. The first and second albums really close. I could see how it could be a coin flip. With me, I'd rather listen to the first one again. And with you, I think you'd rather listen to this one. So, but really close. Good stuff, better stuff to come later. The playing is good. I just don't, it's not memorable to me yet. It's not to the point where I'm done listening to it and I'm humming 2 or 3 songs off of it because they really stuck with me. So that's really just the only thing at this point that I'm missing.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, I think if I came back and listened, I'd probably, listen to both. Maybe not just the second one or the first one. Like, I feel like they're close enough,
Okay.
And really kind of this third one too. But that's because this third one has one of their super classic tracks on it that everybody knows. This is Tres Hombres. So 3 men in Spanish, I guess.
Yep.
July 26, 1973, 10 songs. Some guy named Bill Ham. I don't know. We never heard of that guy.
Interesting.
Yeah, he produced it. Yeah. So I did read a little bit about the recording of this and kind of more the sequencing of the album, which I thought was really cool little story. So the first two songs are called Waiting for the Bus and Jesus Just Left Chicago. Now, these songs transition just about seamlessly into each other, like they're almost one song.
Yep.
The album engineer stumbled across this as he was sequencing the album. He was trying to figure out which songs would fit with other songs to place them on the album. And he kind of stumbled across, he had them reversed for a little bit and thought, man, I don't know. And then he flipped them to where Waiting for the Bus was first. And then Jesus Just Left Chicago. It seamlessly fits right into it.
Yep.
And he put it on there like that and then played it and Billy Gibbons loved it. And the songs from then on are forever linked. Like when they played one of them live, they play them both. They just keep going.
Yep.
So, and I thought that was a really cool little story that sometimes this stuff just happens by accident. And sometimes it's not the band that does it. It's some other guy, you know?
Yep.
So that was a really cool little story. This peaked at number 8 on the Billboard 200, the album. So they're really going places here. My favorites on here are, and the reason for that peaking at number 8, I believe, is probably the song LaGrange, because everybody's heard that song. If you've ever listened to rock radio, I guarantee you've heard that song before.
Ha ha ha.
Yeah, ha ha ha. But anyway, my favorites here are Waiting for the Bus and Jesus Just Left Chicago, as I just mentioned. Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, I liked a lot. I love the back and forth vocals between Billy Gibbons and Dusty Hill. I loved it. Just loved that part. And LaGrange. I mean, you're not going to listen to ZZ Top unless you hear that song somewhere in the list. It's just not going to happen. It's a classic song. It's a great song. This is the ZZ Top that I like.
Yep.
Skipper's Hot Blue and Righteous. I didn't like that one at all. That one, it is the last song. It's 5th song, so the last one on side 1, last song on an album. But it was just boring to me. So that was a skipper for me. But the strength of the rest of the songs, I have this rated as a B. I had this number 4. So they really started to hit their stride here with the boogie blues and the kind of up tempo with the great guitar playing. They're kind of coming into their own more as musicians now. They really are a well-oiled machine, as you can hear on like LaGrange. So that's the first classic sounding ZZ Top song, in my opinion. I wish everything they did sounded like that song or the kind of later blues synth fusion stuff, which we'll get to, which is their super popular era that everybody knows also.
Yep.
Now that is more like you were saying, where you're like, who's playing this other stuff that's behind the guys playing the instruments? Because somebody's got to be playing this other stuff I'm hearing here.
Right.
You're gonna have some of that, but they have some unbelievable songs then. But we'll get to that later. So I have this as a B, number 4 out of 15. What did you think of Three Men?
Three Men to me was the jump. This was where I'm like, okay, and this is not the first album I heard, but this is the stuff as far back as I started listening to. So this is an album that my dad had on cassette. So I was very familiar with this album. And as soon as I not put it in because I'm listening to Spotify nowadays, but this is what I like from them. This is the sweet spot for me perfectly. I love this all. I love all this album. I could see where you would say Hot Blue and Righteous is a little bit boring. To me, it just kind of flows with the album. It doesn't bother me. I wouldn't skip it, but I get it. I love every song on this album. Surprisingly, this is number 1 for me. This is an A-. I really, really like it. To me, it's everything that this band was. I guess when I look back now from where I'm at now, like this just feels like the sweet spot. And I do appreciate the synth stuff later, and I do like it a lot more than probably most do. But to me, this is their best stuff. I won't skip anything off of this. LaGrange probably is their most popular guitar riff, just classic, drums going into the, where it hits the stride. It's just a great album. Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Left Chicago, awesome. Beer Drinkers, awesome. Master of Sparks, I really, really love that one a lot. Move Me On Down the Line, so damn good. I love the closer, Have You Heard? Kicks so much butt. This is an A-, again, number 1. I don't think they ever quite beat the originality of this, the fusion of the blues and the rock. This just feels like their best stuff to me, even listening through all the albums this time. So love me some Tres Hombres. Definitely come back to this every once in a while. This is signature ZZ Top for me. So number 1.
Wow. Got to number 1 early.
Yes, sir.
On to 4th album, Fandango. Now, Fandango has got 9 songs on it, but only 6 of them are new. 3 of them, the first half of the album, are 3 live songs. One of them being kind of a longer medley that is on the first half, and then the second half has 6 brand new songs on it. So we reviewed it because it's more than half new. There's another album later that has some live songs on it. We reviewed that one too. But this one, it's pretty good. This is Bill Ham again. This is April 18th, 1975. Heard It on the X is a song on here that was written about a radio station called X108 that was in El Paso, Texas. But the transmitter for the radio station was in Juarez, Mexico, allowing it to put out 150,000 watts from 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. And it could be heard in 44 states in the United States. It's absurd. Like I think the limit in the United States is 50,000. So this is 3 times the broadcasting power that anything in the United States could, and it's just over the border. So I thought, what a smart, fantastic thing to do for your radio station, man. I'm sure they made so much money, with advertising, just being able to hit so many states. I mean, it's almost the whole country. It's amazing. So I thought that was really fun.
Yep.
Anyway, the song Tush charted to the top 20 and became the first top 40 single in the States for ZZ Top. It's really my only favorite song here. That's also a classic ZZ Top song that pretty much everybody's heard. That's really my only favorite song. The rest of it was kind of dull. I didn't really care for it. It's just okay. I had one skipper, Blue Jean Blues. I didn't really care for that one, but again, this is 2 songs. There's only 6 new songs. I'm not gonna review Jailhouse Rock, because that's not even their song. So, but I have this as a C. So it's kind of in the middle. Number 11. It's just okay. It kind of loses points because there's only 6 songs on it for me. So I have some other C stuff that's kind of above this one. But Tush is a classic. It's a classic song by them. The other 5 studio songs are pretty forgettable to me. So what did you think of Fandango?
I liked it a little bit more than you did. I think it continues on what they were doing. But I do think that side 1 kind of hurts it a little bit. Like, I don't understand the thinking behind that. I'd like to know why you would do that.
I think it's because the word about their live show started to get around, so they wanted to try to capture that. So they just figured, okay, well, let's do half the album, and then we do have these other new songs, and we'll put those on there. But that I'm just kind of
maybe that might be it. I mean,
I really connecting dots here that I was reading, because they really were starting to gain popularity in the southern United States with their live shows.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I really do like side 2. I think it's really strong, but I think based on your logic, what you were saying, it's hard for me to rank this at the top based upon basically half an album. And I know it's more than half, but it kind of feels like it's an afterthought. Oh, well, here's side 2 with 6 new tracks.
Yeah, they didn't even put the new tracks on side 1 and then have the second. Like you'd think you would have the live stuff buried in the back, where let's fit them in there, but let's put all our new stuff up front. It's kind of
mix it up,
or mix it. Yeah,
I don't know, but good stuff. Again, you mentioned it. Tush, I think, is obviously one of their most popular songs. I do like Nasty Dogs. I do like Balinese. Heard It on the X. I do like that was released. I think I read as a single in Japan. I think. But good songs. Again, I think they pick up really well where they left off with Trace Hombres with me. I like their sound now. I kind of feel like this is a half-ass album to me. But I do like it. I have it as a B-, and I have it at number 6. So I have it right above those first 2 records. Because again, when they hit, I like it. I like it
the material better than those. Yeah, makes sense.
I do like the songs better than those first 2 records. But you know what? It's just feels like a half record. So that's why it fell a little bit for me. I wish I could, if they just did 3 more of their songs instead of those other 3 live songs, like instead of the medley and the Jailhouse Rock, just written a couple more songs and threw them on there. I feel like I could give this a better grade, especially where they were at. But yeah, where I'm at, B- and a number 6 for Fandango, because it's
Fandango
exclamation point.
Exclamation. Yeah, they really wanted to get that Fandango across.
Right.
All right, on to Tejas. November 29th, 1976, 10 songs. Once again, Bill Ham. That's a lot of ham.
It is.
The title means friends in Caddo language. It's also the inspiration for the name of the state of Texas. So I didn't know that. I figured that's where the name from Texas for the state of Texas came from, but I did not know what it meant. So that's interesting. This sounds a bit more country than the previous albums, but just a bit, not a lot. It still sounds like ZZ Top, but there's a little more country stuff in here. I don't really have much else on this album. My favorites here are "It's Only Love," which is the first song. I tend to like the first songs on a lot of these albums for some reason. So.
I think they put some of their strongest stuff.
Yeah, I think they do. I mean, I don't like them all, but it seems like I kept thinking, wow, I like the first song again. Imagine that. Just like Bill Ham, imagine that. But yeah, "It's Only Love" was the first song. I like that one. "Arrested for Driving While Blind" is the second song. I like that one too. That's got that signature ZZ Top boogie bluesness to it. There's really only one skipper, and that was "Snappy Khaki." I didn't like the "Snappy Khaki." I don't know what was going on with that one, but I have this ultimately as a C-. I have this 12. I have this behind Fandango. Because it's not exactly experimental, but it has a little more like country twang, I thought, especially like I have a song here. She's a Heartbreaker. That was the example that I had. That was really a lot more country. And there's really no standout like anthem-y type songs that stand out as great for me on this album. So I have this at 12. I don't hate it. I only have one song that I really didn't like, but it's just not one of their stronger efforts for me. What did you think of Tejas?
Yeah, I'm right along with you. I feel like this, again, I don't know what they were doing. I feel like they had a good sound and they were rolling in a good direction with it. And we're going to actually, obviously, we'll talk about the next album next. I really like the next one, but this one, for some reason, it just feels out of place. It feels a little, like you said, a little bit more country-ish. Definitely not down my wheelhouse. Probably the first 2 songs are about the only thing I really care for. We're getting a little bit closer to the bottom with this for me. This was number 9 for me, right about a C. Again, when it hits, it hits okay in those first couple songs, but to me, very forgettable, especially in the second half. This is one where I was like, I can't wait for this to be over because I know there's better stuff coming. So not a fan. They do have some later, obviously, that I like way less, but but this one, just not one of my favorites. I feel like it's just kind of a lull in their discography at this point. So number 9, Tejas, and a C.
Almost feels like they were in too much of a groove. Maybe they didn't want to write too much of the same stuff again, so they started experimenting a little bit. And I just didn't think it worked, and that makes a lot of sense going into this next album. That this is sounds more like the first, more like classic ZZ Top. So anyway, this album is Degueo. This is November 1979. There's 10 songs on here. Bill Ham again. They returned after a 2-year hiatus with some punk influences. Billy Gibbons had picked up some punk influences picked up in Europe. They also, to their detriment, to my detriment, to my ears' detriment, they heard a pitch-shifted, voice-altered interview. Everybody's kind of heard one of those where they got the person in silhouette and they pitch-shift their voice so they can't recognize who it is. Well, they saw one of those interviews and they wanted to include that sound on the album. To me, sounds terrible. So please don't do that again. I'm glad they only did that on this album. There's 2 cover songs on here for the first time. Also, I Thank You and Dust My Broom are both cover songs. One's Isaac Hayes, I believe, I Thank You, and Robert Johnson was Dust My Broom. So that's the first time they've used any cover songs, studio recorded cover songs. Hi-Fi Mama was featured in an episode of the TV show Bones. If anybody out there watches Bones, there was that song was featured in one of the episodes of Bones. So I thought that was another interesting little tidbit. But there's not much on some of these albums. I have a lot more on some of the later albums, but oh man, some of these I'm like, man, I can't really find a whole lot to put in here. So my favorites on here, there are 2 songs on here that I had heard many, many times, not as prevalent as LaGrange and Tush, but I'm Bad, I'm Nationwide. If you heard that song, you probably would recognize it if you listened to rock radio growing up, because that was played a lot. And Cheap Sunglasses is another very recognizable song by them. But those 2 for me are the 2 that I like the most. I only had 2 skippers. Manic Mechanic, which was one of those pitch shifted ones that I really didn't like, and I didn't really care for Hi-Fi Mama either. So if I hear that on Bones, I might just kind of skip to the end. I don't know if we ever watch Bones, but I don't think we do. But anyway, I have this as a C+, number 9, so it's kind of near the middle of the pack for me. I have a lot in the C range for these guys: C-, C+. There's a whole bunch, probably half of their albums or more are in the C-, C+, range for me. So it was hard for me to rank these. This is close to some other ones that I kind of liked, but there was some things about them I didn't like too. But there's not much I really liked here outside of the 2 songs, but not much I'd skip either. So that's why it was kind of in the middle range. Kind of gets the plus because of those 2 songs that I do really like. So, but I think you liked this one a little bit more than me. So what did you think of Degueo?
Degueo, to me, which slashing of the throat, just a cool, like, again, for such a chill band talking about, innuendos and stuff, to do a album titled Slashing of the Throat, I think is pretty crazy.
Got a nice skull on the cover too. Yeah. Like it's pretty cool.
Yeah. I like this album a lot. This sounds like what should have been right after Tres Hombres to me. This is like the follow-up to that. I like most of this. This is all really, really good. I agree with John here talking about underrated album. I hear quite a few of these songs on radio for sure. Again, I wish this would have been right after Tres Hombres. This is just like the perfect follow-up. I Thank You. She Loves My Automobile. I'm Bad, Nationwide. Like, these are good songs. Dust My Broom, of course, Cheap Sunglasses. All these are really, really good. No skippers. Again, this is just really, really strong. This is what I want to hear when I hear ZZ Top, especially with the early sound of what they have. It's basically Tres Hombres and this as my 2 favorite albums of their early stuff. So this one for me is number 3, and I have it as a B+. Just excellent. And this is, again, when I hear ZZ Top, they have 2 basic phases or parts of their band that I really like, and then the early phase is these 2 albums, and then the later that's coming up is got a couple of my other favorites. But this one, number 3, B+. Really, really like it.
I feel like there's 3 phases for me. There's this early group of kind of not overproduced, just the 3 guys, laying like really good tracks down and being really good instrumentalists. And then there's the synth stuff we're going to get to. And then there's the later stuff, which is different in itself. It's down-tuned. It's fuzzy. There's a lot more effects pedals used. There's just I feel like that's its own, because there's a bunch of those albums that kind of sound the same too. But I'm just sharing my opinions.
No, I agree with you. I just don't have any favorites in that phase.
Yeah, so. I got you. I don't either. That's my least favorite ZZ Top is that later one that we'll get to, but I don't hate it all though. But there's
no, it's not bad. I'm just it's when we're ranking albums, that's where the bottom third of my rankings mostly are. It's just how it ranks up. That's all.
Now I agree with you, but having said that, this is my lowest rated album right here of their whole catalog. El Loco. July 15th, 1981, 10 songs. Again, they do a lot of, I don't think they have anything with less than 10 songs on it. They like the 10 song mix, the 5 and 5, 5 on one side, 5 on the other. I do too. And that's a great number. Yep. And they really nailed it and they just kept going with it over and over again. So good for them. They started using the synthesizer a little bit here on a couple tracks, which lays some groundwork for the next few albums. But this material is nowhere near as good as that material is and did not take off like that material did. So Billy Gibbons said for this one that he was kind of they were at a turning point for the band. They met a guy named Lyndon Hudson who was doing some cutting edge production things at the time, including the synth stuff. And he would be really, really influential and really help them shape their sound on the next few albums and really their rise to superstardom. Like they went from this to like the moon in one album.
Yep.
So this one didn't really get a lot of play. It's just kind of goofy. He said he was inspired by watching a Devo sound check in Houston that helped him write the song Groovy Little Hippie Pad. So Devo obviously is, if you don't know who Devo is, they're definitely like a new wave early 80s just new wave pop band. So but they're from down the street here in Akron, Ohio, so we know a lot more about them than a lot of people do. But everybody's heard Whip It, I'm sure. So anyway, they were popular around this early 80s time, and Billy was side stage watching them do a sound check, and he kind of got inspired to write the one song. This is kind of a goofy kind of party rock album. Even it doesn't fit with the other stuff for me. I really don't have any favorites on here at all. There's lots of skippers. 10-foot pole is just kind of weird. I don't like the mumbled vocals at all, and they do that from time to time from here on out too. Not on every album, but there's quite a few songs with these mumbled vocals, and I don't know why they do that. Like these guys can both sing. Dusty Hill's like, he's got a higher end voice and he can really sing. And Billy Gibbons is kind of more like he's got that bluesy kind of like, I saw it described as kind of like a nuclear kind of just scratchiness, that it sounds really good. I don't know why they would do the mumbled vocals where you can't understand anything they're saying. But I don't know, there's some of those on here. So Layla also does not fit as a ZZ Top song for me at all. It's kind of a straight up country song from the early 80s, which makes sense because it is the early 80s and that stuff was kind of popular, but it's like a Crystal Gale or like, I don't even know who from the early 80s. Heaven, Hell, or Houston, I didn't really care for either. So I don't know. I don't really have any favorites on this one. There's no classic stuff on here that you'd hear played very much. I don't think. Not that I hear anyway. I have this rated as a D. This is the only D range album I think I have for them. This is number 15. This is the bottom of the barrel. I really just don't like anything on here. So what did you think of El Loco? Was it as El Loco for you as it was for me?
I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it as much as you did. Okay. I think it suffers from the two albums it's in between for me personally. That's the hardest thing for me. It's just an oddball. It's very strange that it was released here. I could see it a little bit more if it was released during, I don't know, maybe after Fandango. I don't know. But here it just, to me, the songs are okay. That's the thing is I think the songs are probably a little better than their earlier stuff, but the sound of it is just off. It's not a sound of theirs that I really like a lot. Nothing really does stand out listening to it. To me, it was kind of forgettable. For me, it's number 10. So it's nowhere near as bad as you have it. But it's still a C- for me. It's not great. I think it just, I don't know. I think I just maybe like their newer stuff, maybe a little more than you. I don't know, but I don't like it, but it's still to me number 10. I still feel like there's worse stuff with me personally, but not a big fan. Again, like you said, there's no songs on here that I'm like, oh, I got to put this song on my ZZ Top playlist or anything like that. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm at 10 and a C minus for El Loco.
El Loco. This is also too where they really hit the bottom of the barrel as far as the not so veiled subject matter. You got Tube Snake Boogie, you got got Pearl Necklace, you got It's So Hard. Like there's just nothing really unknown about any of those songs and what they're about.
Sure.
So it just kind of is what it is. That's what makes it kind of a party rock album, and it's just, but I don't know, it just sounds goofy to me.
Yeah, it misses.
It doesn't. I don't. All their songs don't have to be serious. I mean, it's blues, right? It's written a lot about emotion and how you're feeling, and sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? So it's you're gonna write a lot of songs like that, but I don't know. It's just something about that one just kind of hit me the wrong way, I guess. And maybe it was just listening to it. It's not an album again it doesn't have any songs on it that I've heard. So I would not have listened to that otherwise, except for doing this podcast. So I had never listened to it before, and that's just how it hit me. So on to bigger and better things. So on to Off to the Stratosphere with them and Eliminator from March 23rd, 1983. 11 songs on here. Bill Ham's still producing, and I don't even know how you even still have the same producer with the sound being completely different on here than what they were doing before. So it's amazing that this guy is still the producer. But Billy Gibbons moved the band toward a new wave sound, kind of using faster tempo and a drum machine to get a tighter album with a more steady beat. And man, did this work for them. It just worked huge. Now, they had to write great songs around it, too. So it wasn't just the sound of the songs or what they, the instrumentation that they use. They had to write some great songs. But the merger of this sound along with their instrumental groove that they had just kind of came together and just skyrocketed. So it's crazy. Bill Ham and engineer Terry Manning edited this album with Billy, and they removed much of what Dusty Hill and Frank Beard had contributed. So this was also, I'm surprised this didn't kind of break up that band. I'm surprised this didn't put a big split between them, because you don't really hear as much of the bass and the drums on this one. There's a lot of electronic stuff on here. But again, it sounds amazing. The songs are great. They grew their beards super long. So now you got two guys with this beard mid-chest down to their stomachs almost. And you got one guy named Beard playing drums that doesn't have a beard. So very interesting. This is the ZZ Top that most everybody knows. The videos, oh my God, on MTV, you couldn't escape ZZ Top. But for some reason, I never got sick of them. This is where I first heard ZZ Top. Now, I had heard LaGrange before. I had heard Tush before on rock radio back in the early 80s, but I didn't really know who ZZ Top was. And now that I'm seeing them on these videos, those songs didn't have videos that got airplay every 5 minutes like these did. So, and I'm like, man, who are these guys with the cool car? And oh man. Yeah, this was right in my wheelhouse as an 11-year-old kid, man. I couldn't get enough of this. So it's a hugely popular album, 4 huge hit songs. This sold 11 million albums. I mean, that's gigantic. My favorites here are the first 3 are just awesome. Sharp Dressed Man is probably my favorite ZZ Top song. I wrote that in here, but then as I'm listening to other stuff, I'm like, maybe it's not, but I don't know. It's still way up there for me. I love Sharp Dressed Man. I just love the whole vibe of the whole song. And then that one's kind of sandwiched between 2 huge hit songs. Like you have Give Me All Your Love, the first song, and Sharp Dressed Man is the third song. Sandwiched between those is Got Me Under Pressure, and that's an unbelievably great song too that doesn't get as much credit because they don't have a video for it, and it's kind of sandwiched between 2 other great songs. And then to lead off the second half of the album, you got Legs, of course, which is just a giant song for them too. TV Dinners is another popular song. I think they had a video for that one too. So there's a lot of great stuff on here. I did have one skipper though. Thug to me seemed strange and kind of out of place on this album. So this is 11 songs. I wish it was 10 like all the other ones, and I wish Thug wasn't even on here because then it would be an A+ for me. But that brings it down to an A for me. But this is number one. Like I said, I had heard other ZZ Top songs before this and liked them, but I absolutely loved this whole thing. This was just so in my wheelhouse, man. It's like they wrote this for 11, 12-year-old boys. Like, you couldn't get with the cars and you start to get into girls, and there's girls running around everywhere with fishnet stockings on, and just like you couldn't get enough of it. It's just unbelievable. Perfect mix of, like I said, 80s new wave synth sounds and just that anthemic rock music that got my attention, because there's still some great guitar work on here too. It's just fantastic. So yeah, I can't really say enough of good things about this album, other than with Thug being the only thing that I really kind of didn't like. But yep, this is number one. This is an A for me. I mean, not really a surprise. This is an A for probably many ZZ Top fans. John said, I got this album on vinyl for 1/13 of a penny from Columbia House. I think I still owe them $5 at regular price. Nice. Yeah, I probably still owe them too. So this one, actually the next album was the first vinyl album that I bought from them, and the second vinyl album I ever bought. The first one was Footloose, which I don't know.
Interesting.
But anyway, yeah, I know, right? So this was the second vinyl album. I'm sorry, I take that back. This was the third one. The first one was Kilroy Was Here from Styx. That was 84. And then I bought Footloose, and then I bought Afterburner, which is the next album. And then I bought this one, because you almost have to get the vinyl because the car looks so cool on the cover, you know?
Yep.
So you almost had to get that giant picture of it. So anyhow, I have this at number one. You got to cut loose. That's right. Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot on there that caught my attention. I don't know why Footloose was so powerful to me, but there's just a lot of great songs by a lot of different artists on there, but none of it's really rock. So we'll never review it. But anyhow, it's in there. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm honest, if nothing else. So, what did you think of Eliminator there, Hurd?
For the record, Footloose soundtrack is awesome. I don't care.
You like it too? Are you being serious?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I could probably sing every word to every song.
I could too. I mean, it's weird that I even, considering what I like to listen to, that I even like that. But man, it's so good.
Hey, again, unless it's country, I like just about everything. As you can see, Wu-Tang ain't nothing to F with. I like a lot of different stuff.
Man.
So
me too, and that includes some country. So
yeah, okay.
I even take it one step further.
Yep. Eliminator, awesome. I agree with everything you said. It's phenomenal. It captures like a time capsule of growing up for me. A lot of the earlier MTV videos, my mind takes me back to these videos.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. Man. Again, like you said, just perfect for a young kid. I was
like
young.
Candy, yeah, right? You can't. Oh man,
just awesome guitars and hot women.
Give me more.
Yeah, it's just can't really go wrong with this stuff. But yeah, Eliminator is awesome. Like it. Again, this would be the album we have our all the time about. Our talk of all these songs. I'm so sick of most of them, but they're good. I really enjoyed listening to the album as a whole. If I'm listening to WMMS or something and Sharp Dressed Man comes on, I might roll my eyes a little bit and be like, oh, here we go. But, digging into the catalog for ZZ Top, you just appreciate this more, that they just went so different here, but they nailed it.
Great point, man.
Just all the stuff just kind of all lined up in the crosshairs, and we got this awesome album. This is number 2 for me, and it's also an A. Just really, really like it. I get A-. I think I had Trace Hombres at 1 with an A-, and I think this is just right alongside with it. Just 2 almost different bands, but I love both albums a lot. So, yeah, Eliminator, an easy A for me. It just happened to be a little bit behind Trace Hombres to me, but they're both 1, 2. It could be interchangeable at a different time. You mentioned the car. The car is sitting in Cleveland right now at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Is it? Nice. Yeah,
Billy Gibbons actually, he keeps it in the Hall of Fame, but he admits when he's in
38 Ford, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
he says when he's in town, he still takes it out for a spin. He said it's still his. He just parks it. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is his garage.
How awesome!
But yeah, got the headlights beaming over my shoulders of the
Yes,
awesome
you
car.
do.
Absolutely love it. This album, like you said, just the whole package. It's
The
everything.
sheepskins covered fuzzy guitars that that were attached to the belt buckle. They could spin them around. Like, oh man, everything about it was so cool.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Love me some Eliminator. So number 2, A- for me.
That's such a great point by you, man. Because really, when you listen to ZZ Top up to this point, you almost do have more of an appreciation. Like, yeah, I've heard all those songs a million times off Eliminator, but it was kind of refreshing to listen to it because nothing else that they had done up to that point, and especially if you're listening to them in order, nothing else sounds like that. And you're like, what the hell is this? But it's undeniably great. So it's crazy. So anyway, they tried to capitalize on that and then put out Afterburner, October 28th, 1985, 10 songs on this one. Bill Ham again, another commercial success, selling 5 million copies. I think that's probably more due to the previous album selling so many, but I do mention that a lot on this podcast, that it feels like the previous album drives sales for the next album a lot. Yep. Especially if there's like even just one hit song and that album didn't sell very well, and then the next album blows up because everybody's like, well, I got to hear more of that. And it might not be that much more of that on there.
Right.
Where this is a little different than Eliminator. It's not as good. I'm not going to say it is, but I have this one way up there too. More so, this is where I fall victim to being a time in my life. This came out, I was 13, going on 14 years old. I saw them later on this tour. They toured for like 5 years on this album. So they didn't come out with another album until 1990. So they toured for a long time on this one. And I went and saw them because I just loved ZZ Top at the time. So I like this album a lot more than I think a lot of people do. I don't think this gets as much of the critical praise that like Eliminator got, but I do like this one a lot. So this is another commercial success, 5 million copies. Sleeping Bag, the first song again on this album, I like a lot. And it was the first song they released off of this album, and it went to number 8, just like Legs did. So those two are kind of tied for their highest Billboard charting singles. But Stages, Rough Boy, Velcro Fly, all of those made the top 40 also. Some material like Can't Stop Rockin' was an example I had, was left over from an Eliminator, and it's a very similar sounding album. But there's a little bit of differences that kind of start. It sounds a little weird, but I think the songs are still good enough for me on this one that they're still catchy. Like listening back to this album, I was worried because I haven't listened to this album in a long time, and they don't play a lot of these songs on like classic rock radio like they do off of Eliminator.
Right.
So this one kind of gets overlooked, and I thought, man, I was kind of worried. I'm like, am I going to like this album as much as I used to? And I really did. Like, I got through these songs, and I'm like, yep, love this song. Yep, love this song, and I still love it. So, I did see them on this tour. I still can't remember who opened for them. But they had this weird like conveyor belt like on the stage where they would get on it, and it would like a people mover, and it would take them to another part of the stage. I thought that was really cool. It's kind of more futuristic, just like the album covers. Like has kind of the same car, but as a spaceship flying like around the world, it's like in space. So it's kind of like the next level. But it does have a weird, super electronic sound, even more than Eliminator has, where it's got like. It's definitely in your face, like drum machine, and it sounds like total electronic, where it's not as noticeable on Eliminator. Eliminator is kind of more like in the background. You have this like hum in the background, and you can kind of hear it here and there, but this is more like in your face. This is what we're doing. So it was cool to see him do those songs live because they didn't make them sound like that as much live. So I do remember that being interesting. But like Sleeping Bag is a weird, super electronic sound, that you'll hear right away. Stages is really underrated. I don't love the song, but Rough Boy is the only real ballad by ZZ Top that I ever really liked, that I ever thought was really any good. It's just, that's a really good song. And Velcro Fly, I like a lot too. Weird song, but I like that. Dipping Low, also for me in the Lap of Luxury, the 9th song. That one's got to be one that's off the Eliminator sessions because it sounds exactly like Eliminator. I wish they replaced Thug with Dipping Low on Eliminator. It would have made an A+ for me. But I like that one too. There's no skippers here. Some of it's real weird and totally mid-'80s new wave dance synth stuff. But man, the guitar work is fantastic when it's there. It's fantastic. And it's all over the place on this album. I had this as an A-. This is number 2 for me. Again, this is one of the first vinyl albums I ever bought. I listened to the crap out of this. It's still total 80s cheese in parts, but I do still love it. Like I said, I was worried I wasn't going to, but I do still love it. It's catchy and has some killer guitar work on it. Not as good as Eliminator, though, admittedly. So I have this at number 2, A-. What did you think of Afterburner?
Yeah, this is a good sounding album to me.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun, and I don't know. Like I agree with you. I didn't know how I would react listening to it, but I agree. It's funky listening to it. It's almost goofy,
so dated.
Over the top. Yeah,
it is.
It does. It feels like you're playing an old floppy disk game. Back. It's just right. It really takes me back to that, like watching an 80s movie and hearing the synth music and just kind of melting to that. But the songs are good. Like it's just a strange take you back album, and the songs are good if you can get past the silliness of the synth stuff, which I really like. When all that Stranger Things stuff came out with all those, that I was like, man, I love this stuff. Like that just, it encapsulates that period for me. But Sleeping Bag, awesome. Stages, awesome. Can't Stop Rockin', I really, really like. A little story about Velcro Fly, which I've been dying to tell this because
all right, let's hear it.
You know that I'm surprised you didn't mention it. So I am a huge fan of Stephen King. I know you like Stephen King as well.
Yes, I do.
My absolute favorite book series of all time is The Dark Tower. I absolutely idolize The Dark Tower. I have on my arm a Dark Tower. I have the Eye of the Crimson King there, the roses, the guns, Roland's guns. I'm a big nerd when it comes to that stuff. On their 3rd book, titled The Wastelands, they're going on this quest to find the Dark Tower. And on their way to this city, which is supposed to be like New York City, is a city called Lud, which again, it's a country western / like science fiction type thing. So they're in these universes where, the cities in this old rundown place that they're in, like have similar things to common day things. So the New York of this is called Lud. And as they're walking into the city of Lud, they hear the war drums. And when they're talking about the war drums, one of the guys in their party is a guy named Eddie, who is from New York of our time, kept saying when he would hear the war drums, he was hearing the doom, 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 doom from Velcro Fly. So every time I hear Velcro Fly now, it takes me back to reading that book series. So I absolutely love it. So hopefully there's some Stephen King nerds out there like me that when they hear the war drums, they sing "To the Velcro Fly" and put it down on that. So I love it. It's a great song. Shout out to Stephen King for being where we are with rock and roll, and he puts all those things in there. I absolutely love the references to the 80s rock, 90s rock, and stuff like that. So, and he likes baseball a lot too. So he talks a lot about baseball and stuff like that.
Yeah. He also has weird political views that I don't really like. So, but we won't get into that.
Hey, again, and we could have a different podcast about that.
Yeah, we could have a different podcast altogether about Stephen King. Like, I mean, not just one podcast, but like, a podcast series. I'm a big Stephen King fan too. I'm not as big a fan of The Dark Tower though. I don't know why. I mean, I love a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. The Dark Tower, it's so long.
Yeah.
And so involved to me. Like, it's hard. I don't want to say it's hard to keep my attention because that's not really a problem. Like I don't mind longer stories that are in multiple parts over multiple books. But that one to me, it just kind of I also don't want to say it's repetitive, but it doesn't do enough for me ebb and flow wise to really keep my interest as much as some of the other stuff that he does.
Okay.
So that's just my
fair.
dark. I don't hate it. You know, like I like it. It's just
Yeah.
it's not my first thing that I'm going to go try to read
that's
by
fair.
him. So
That's
the other
fair.
thing about Stephen King that I always thought was weird is like the man, like especially later, I just couldn't seem to figure out how to end a book. Like he just,
that's no doubt about that.
like he's just like he has this fantastic story, and at the end he's just like, it's aliens. It was aliens that did it. And you're like, what the hell? Where did this come from? You know?
Well, a lot of
just
people
great.
were unhappy with how the Dark Tower ended too, as well, because
Okay.
it was an ending that was it kind of everybody did the same thing, but I liked the ending of this one. But
It's like the guy is
point
so
taken.
good until he gets to the very end. And he's like, it's
runs
almost
out of
like he
room.
could just keep writing it forever and it would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But he has to end it somewhere, and like he just can't seem to figure out how he wants to end it.
Nope,
That's
I'm
funny.
with you.
But yeah, I love Stephen King though.
Yep.
But I'm glad that you told that story because I wouldn't have been able to do it justice. So I knew that it was related.
Yeah.
But fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. So on to the next album.
My bad.
My bad. Go ahead.
No, you're cool. Number 4. It's this one is number 4 and a B+ for me.
B+. Okay.
Excellent, good, but not quite as good as those other 3 that I like. But it's really good. I was surprised I liked it that much.
Is the plus just for Velcro Fly?
Yes.
Like it would have been a B, but it was a B+ just because of Velcro.
Because of the not even
the war drums.
It's the war drums, the beginning drums at the beginning. It's so cool because it does have that industrial like.
Oh yeah.
Like you got the drums, and then in between the drums, the like whirring of the machines.
Yes.
So freaking cool. I love it.
Yeah, right. And this is kind of like the groundwork for like some of that like early to mid 90s industrial stuff a year later that was way better done, I think. But this is like where all that idea stuff came from. They're like, this is what you can do. This is what it could sound like.
Yep.
So great stuff. All right. So on to Recycler. October 16, 1990. So we got 5 years. I mean, they were huge. They were touring everywhere. I don't really think there was anything personally going on that I read that took them 5 years to record an album, but I just think it was just their popularity, and they were just everywhere you could look. There was ZZ Top somewhere. So
yeah.
So Recycler came out in 1990 in October. 10 songs. Bill Ham again. The double back song, which is the second to last song, the penultimate song, I think it would be called, is featured in the movie Back to the Future 3. They play it during the credits, but the band also makes a cameo in the movie, playing it in kind of a more Western style. Like it's not exactly how the song is on the album, but the original version is in the credits. So if you're into those movies, you'll recognize that song from there. I did. So
yeah, I did for sure.
I had heard it before, but I'm like, yep, I definitely remember that. This is the last album to kind of use the synth-driven tracks as featured on the past 2 albums. So this one too. My favorites here are Concrete and Steel, My Head's in Mississippi, and Double Back. I like all 3 of those songs. There's no skippers here. I still love this version of ZZ Top. Brian S says I love seeing them in that movie. So that's good stuff. It was cool because I'm like, hey, I know who these guys are. So I mean, everybody knew who they were at that point. So
for sure.
But I have no skippers on here. I have this as rated as a B, but I have this at number 3. So this is a solid album. There's no real standout songs, but I still like this version of ZZ Top, and it still kind of sounds the same. And in a way, these songs sound less goofy than the Afterburner songs. Now, I like Afterburner. I have it rated higher. I like that more, but this was kind of less goofy. It's kind of more like Eliminator, where the songs are kind of less goofy. But still, I really like this version, and this was still really, really solid. So what did you think of Recycler?
Yeah, I didn't like this one. I thought this was way different than the other one.
All right.
I didn't like the mixture. I like either going one way or another with it.
Okay.
I thought this sounded pretty rough. Just didn't like this one. I don't really know why. I just when I listened to the Afterburner and then Eliminator, I felt like that felt right. This just feels weird to me. I like Concrete and Steel. I think that's a good song, and I do like Double Back, maybe more because I recognize it, like you said. But all the stuff in between, I really, really didn't like. So, to me, this is a big step back for me personally. This is number 11 for me in a C minus. Just didn't really care for any of these songs. I just think they nailed it, and I think they needed to move on an album earlier, personally. But obviously, you liked it, so
Yeah.
so they kept it going long enough for you. So
I feel like it had that same kind of undertone, like synth
yeah.
bed
Oh, it was
to it,
still there.
that
Yeah.
I just still like that, and I felt like the songs were good
Mhm.
enough. I mean, I guess if I was really gonna go back, maybe I might. I just was in such a groove with that,
Yeah.
with the nostalgia of listening to those albums, that maybe I rated that one maybe a spot higher than I probably would have if I went back and revisited the first group of albums, because I do like that sound a lot too.
Yeah.
So maybe I'd have put it at like 4 or 5, but I do still really like it. I'd probably still have it in the B range. So I
Okay.
still liked it quite a bit more than you did. But
Okay.
yeah, we always have one in there somewhere.
Yeah, I
that
feel like
we
there is.
totally
Yeah.
disagree about. So,
Yep.
but yeah, there's nothing to really fight with. I mean, it's obviously not as good as those two, and I totally
Yeah.
admit that. So,
Right.
but I just love that. I think it's more a nostalgia thing, probably. I think I just
Maybe.
love that
Yeah,
ZZ
maybe.
Top. On to Antenna. So this is January 18th, 1994. So this is good, over 3 years later, almost 4 years later. 11 songs. This is Bill Ham and Billy Gibbons. I think Bill Ham's kind of winding his career down here. But Billy Gibbons starts taking on some production roles on these albums. And I think after Bill Ham's done, it's pretty much just Billy Gibbons from then on producing all their stuff. So that's good and bad.
Yeah.
The single Pincushion reached number 1 on the Billboard Rock Tracks, which is kind of surprising to me. Has made it to number 14 on the Billboard Albums chart, which also kind of surprises me. But this is kind of more a return to their previous like blues rock form before the synth stuff. There is some effects going on here though, because I like the song Fuzzbox Voodoo. Has a real cool sound and feel to it, and I like Cherry Red a lot on here. But out of the 11 songs, I think those are the only 2 that I really liked. There's nothing to really skip. It's all decent, but those are the only 2 that really stood out to me. And there's no real classic stuff on here. Nothing that you would have heard any other time than just listening to this album. They don't play these on the radio that I know of. I guess maybe Pincushion you might hear here or there, but I don't remember hearing it. So I have this as a B minus. It's still solid to me, but I have this at number 7. Just it's another just solid ZZ Top album, kind of middle range. But I'm going to get into a lot of C stuff, I think, pretty much from here on out. So this is the top of that group of albums, but it's kind of between sounds for me. It's not synth anymore, but it's not really a complete return to their original stuff. But it's kind of an in between, and it doesn't really sound like the real super fuzzy, buzzy stuff they have coming up. So, but I have this at number 7, kind of right in the middle, B minus, maybe even a C plus if I was really splitting hairs here. So, what did you think of Antenna?
Yeah, this is where it gets really hard for me because a lot of these sound the same.
Yeah.
After the last synth album, which the last one, I feel like there's really only one album I think that stands out the rest of the time. This is not it for me. It's just kind of like middle of the pack with the rest of these, which I don't hate any of these albums, but they just at this point, and maybe it's fatigue, maybe it's ZZ Top fatigue at this point. But to me, like none of these songs really stand out on most of these last of these albums. I do. Pincushion's okay. I agree with you. I don't understand how it really was such a huge thing. It's okay. Breakaway is okay. Fuzzbox Voodoo, I think you mentioned that one. That one's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do like Cherry Red, but
Me too. Yep.
a
Those
lot
are my 2 favorites. Of
yeah.
those 2.
Other than that, though, it's very forgettable. To me, this is a C minus. This is all the way to number 12. just not, and it's going to be tough the rest of the way. There's one more album that I like, but it's going to be tough the rest of the way, unfortunately.
Yeah, kind of. I agree with you there. A lot of these, I'm going to be able to just kind of interchange where they're ranked because I have them all just kind of ranked together. There's just not a lot of great stuff here. So, but I'll kind of explain why I feel that way on some of these too. So, the next album will go on. So you had that at 12, right?
Yes,
12,
sir.
Okay. All right. So on to the next one. Rhythmine was released September 17th, 1996. 12 songs here. Once again, Billy Gibbons and Bill Ham. This is the last album with longtime producer Bill Ham. Several tracks on here contain some African tribal percussion, which was kind of popularized at the time, I want to say. Like you had Sepultura doing it in metal. There was there was some pop artists doing some of that stuff then, where a lot of bongos and different stuff going on musically in the kind of the mid 90s. They also began experimenting with some really low tunings here. And this is where it kind of gets to this weird, it kind of doesn't really sound like ZZ Top anymore. It's almost like there's a lot of effects, a lot of low tunings, kind of like a buzzy, fuzzy kind of sound, almost like they were trying to do the Eliminator stuff, but without the synthesizers. So they just used effects instead. And it just doesn't really work for me for them. And there's just, it all starts to sound the same. It all has that same low, like I said, buzz, fuzz kind of sound to it with bass and guitar. It's just too much. And there's not much in the way of melody or hooks here anymore. It just feels like a lot of jamming.
Yeah.
Like there's like one song in the next one. This is where I start like in multiple albums here. It just, I don't know what album I'm on or they just do a lot of this stuff back to back to back to back. And I don't know why. Like, I don't know what made them continue to do that. Because it doesn't sound like the early stuff. It doesn't sound like the 80s stuff. It's its own thing, but I guess maybe it must have been popular enough. I mean, that's all I can come up with. So this peaked at 29 on the Billboard albums charts. It kind of received mixed reviews, though, which I feel like that's kind of where I'm at with it, too. Favorites, I have, like, nothing really sticks out to me. It just feels like a lot of jamming, a lot of... it just kind of sounds the same. Like I get lost. I'm like, am I on song 5 or 9? It's like I don't know. Like there's no song where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this hook or this, chorus from earlier. I don't remember any of it, And again, there's not really any skippers because it's okay. Like there's still, guitar in there and it sounds good. And Billy Gibbons can still sing pretty well. He sounds good. And I don't know. So I just have this again in the middle. There's just a lot of this C. I have this one at C plus, number 8. Again, it's just missing melody and hooks, and there's just nothing memorable. It's like one big long song, except for a couple spots where there's like a weird song, but the rest of it's just like almost like one big long song. What did you have? What did you think of Rhythmine?
Yeah, I'm with you. This one is actually way worse. I have this at 14, and I have this as a D. This just didn't vibe with me at all. I agree with you. Number one, it's too long. We're now approaching 50, 53, 54 minutes of ZZ Top, and it's not anything catchy. It's not anything that really stands out that I'm going to remember. Yeah, She's Killing Me, I think, is the only one that I think maybe I thought was catchy-ish. The rest, pretty forgettable. Like I said, number 14. This right here is the bottomless pit part of their catalog for me. This one and the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler, that's 15. This is 14. It's just, this is not good for me. So 14 and a D, just never will come back to this stuff. And it doesn't solve any purpose for me in my music listening journey.
No, and I never listened to any of these when they came out at the times they came out.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
On to Triple X. Again, more of the same. This is September 28th, 1999. There's 8 studio songs again and 4 live recordings. At least this time they put the live recordings at the end of the album. But again, it's more of the same. And honestly, the live recordings, the songs sound the same as the rest of it. It's just that there's a crowd instead.
Yeah.
Like it's just the same kind of buzzy, like I don't know what kind of sound they were going for, but it just doesn't seem to work. It almost takes away from their musicianship, if I'm being honest. Like I can't hear them playing the notes as much because it's just all buzzed and fused together. So pretty weak reviews on this one too from pretty much everybody. They called the band kind of stiff sounding on this one because it's just a lot more of the same stuff from the last album, and I don't really know what they were trying to go for. Now there's a song here and there, like I said, that's weird. Like for me, 362236 is a weird song. It's like ZZ rap.
Yeah.
Instead of, I'm like, well, I don't know what they were trying to do there. So there was another one. Beatbox was another one. And I kind of figured that was going to sound like that. But yeah, it's almost rappy. I'm like, I don't know what they were trying to do. Now this was 99, so the rap metal stuff was huge. Limp Bizkit was gigantic at this time. There's a lot of copy bands like that. So maybe they were trying to hook into that, but with the ZZ Top sound, I guess. Right. I don't know, but it just didn't work. It doesn't work for them. Not a band that had been around for 30 years at this point. I don't know what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of blah. I have this one at C-. This is number 14 for me. So this is like, you have it at 15. I have this. This is at the bottom for both of us.
Yep.
El Loco was the only one I really liked less, but honestly, I could switch the two and it wouldn't make any difference.
Yep.
To me either way. I don't really like it's not really much I hate though, except for the ZZ rap stuff, but it's just kind of blah. It's just a slower tempoed continuation of Rhythmine to me, and just not as good, which that wasn't that good either. So that's kind of where I was at with this one. So C- number 14. What did you think of Triple X, which is named because it was their 30th anniversary since they were together? That's why they called it Triple X.
Yeah, the only thing I really add, because I already kind of gave what my ranking is this feels like B-sides of Rhythmine.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
and that's obviously my number 14 album. You release the B-sides, of course. There's nowhere else for it to go. But 15.
Right.
So
I put it at 16, even though they only have 15 albums.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
But I mean, to me, like again, I feel it feels unfair giving this a D and putting it last, but because a lot of it maybe is fatigue at this point, where I'm
and it's just not terrible. It's not like you're like I can't even listen to this. It's not like you can't listen to it. It's just you're never going to go back and listen to it again because it's just there's nothing there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just not anything that I don't know. Nothing really stands out. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know. Yep.
All right. So from the bottom of the barrel, we kind of stay down there for me. Mescalero, September 9th, 2003. We only got 2 more. 16 songs on this one. 16 songs. That's insane. But a couple of those, one of those I liked. So one of those later songs. So if it wasn't on there, there'd be nothing on here I liked. So this is more blues rock, which is kind of experimenting into country and Tejano. The Tejano instrumentation is kind of like accordion, pedal steel guitar, harmonica type stuff. They're definitely kind of doing stuff in there. They performed with Brooks and Dunn on CMT Crossroads for this one, so they definitely, there's some country feel in here on a few songs. There's some mixed reviews with praise for Billy Gibbons' thick guitar tone on here. Most people feel like it was an improvement from 1999's Triple X, but I don't know, not much for me. To me, it's I like the song Dusted, which is the 15th song on here. It sounds the most like old ZZ Top to me. Even that, it's not great, but it's really the only one I kind of liked off the whole thing. Skipper's Mescalero, Going So Good, What Would You Do? Those last 2, Going So Good and What Would You Do, are both super country sounding songs. And I'm like, I don't know what. Again, I'm a fan of some country stuff, but I don't know what ZZ Top is trying to do doing country. It just doesn't fit for them. Nope. So I give them credit for trying things, I guess, but it's just this one doesn't work. So I have this as a C-. This is number 13 for me. Yet more fuzzy, buzzy, down-tuned jams that nothing to really come back to. Didn't care for the country experimentation. What did you think of Mescalero?
What do you think? Country?
I think 13. Probably.
I think bingo, you nailed it.
Nice.
Exactly 13. It just it's not something for me And I might like it more if I liked different music. If I had like a country, like where I liked country, I feel like I might be open to this more. Like, okay, cool. Like I like ZZ Top. I like country music. This is like a decent mix, but no. I mean,
It's
to
not.
me, it's okay. Yeah, well,
It's not.
yeah, I was gonna say you'd be the person to say that.
Yeah,
And you don't
it's
like it either. So
no.
yeah, to me, this was the only reason I think I put this. It just felt, I guess maybe they were going for something more here, and it felt a little more creative to me. The only reason it made it to 13 over Triple X and Rhythm, the other Rhythm one, but I forgot what it is already at this
Rhythmine.
point. But this is not something I would listen to. These are easily the bottom 3 for me. These last 3 records. So just not a fan of this type of music, the direction that they're going. So just gonna stay at 13, and it'll be a D plus. The plus in the D is just for, hey, you tried something new. The D is for it didn't work out for you.
D is for it didn't work. I love it. I feel like this one, I think this is kind of dot connecting for me. I feel like they had an opportunity to do this Crossroads thing. CMT Crossroads was real popular at the time. This was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
CMT, like there was some country artists gaining some popularity, some more modern country, not the old 80s country that people like that stuff hate the more modern country stuff. People that like the Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson and that stuff from the 80s, they hate the more modern country, but it was blowing up in popularity. And CMT Crossroads, like they did some pretty cool mashups, and they tried to put rock bands with country bands and kind of tried to put that together. And in some cases it really worked. In this case it didn't. And I think because Triple X was so poorly rated, and I don't think it really sold very well, and like the critics kind of just destroyed it, I feel like they're kind of like, well, here's an opportunity to kind of try to do something different and get away from that.
Yeah.
And the people getting tired of what we were doing with that, and kind of let's get on Crossroads and let's see what happens. I don't think it worked.
Right.
But I feel like that's where they were trying to go. And it's just like I said, a band had been around for this long at that point. Yeah, I don't think you really want to try to do stuff that different. But
Agreed.
they're musicians, they wanted to reach out and try different stuff, and they had an opportunity, and I think that's kind of just where that came about. So
Yep.
On to the last album, La Futura, September 10th, 2012. 10 songs on this one. Our buddy Rick Rubin, who we've talked about many times and will probably talk about many times again.
Yep.
And Billy Gibbons put this together. It's their first album in 9 years. The last album they'll release with Dusty Hill, who passed away in 2021. Billy Gibbons said they wanted to recall the directness of their early stuff but still embrace the current like technology. So I feel like they kind of did a good job with that on this album. And I feel like this is that one album out of these that you kind of like too. And I don't mind this one either. Like when I saw that I Gots to Get Paid as a cover of a hip hop track by a Houston artist, DJ DMD, whoever that is, I was like, oh boy, here we go. What are we doing? It's actually not a bad song though.
It's not.
So I was like, okay, like this is a ZZ Top, way more ZZ Top version of this track. It wasn't like they tried to do a hip hop track. They ZZ Topped it, and it sounded pretty good. I thought Chartreuse finally sounds like an old ZZ Top song after all this time. And like I liked Flying High too. Flying High is like a 3-man old school AC/DC song, but with Billy Gibbons singing instead of Brian Young. It's just, man, there's some good stuff on here. Now I don't love it all, but I didn't like Over You, the song Over You. I just put yuck because that just was like, oh man, I can't get this song over with fast enough. But I like this one a little bit more. I have this up at number 10. I have this as a C plus. I have this above all those other C-rated ones that I had. I have this one above all of those because I feel like it's finally at least a little bit of a return to old classic ZZ Top here and there. And I'm happy that they did this with Dusty Hill before Dusty Hill passed away, and they didn't do, they're not probably going to do any more ZZ Top albums, I don't think. They promoted the guitar tech to Elmore. I can't remember what his last name is for some reason. I didn't write it in here, but they promoted him at Dusty Hill's suggestion. He said, please, that guy's been with them for a long time. There's a story about Dusty Hill and Elmore back in like the early 70s. They were doing a lot of pot smoking, I guess, and Elmore saw this bar. They were in a hotel, and the window was open, and he saw this bar in the window. And I guess he and Dusty were pretty high, and he pretended to jump out the window. Like, I don't know why you would do this to your friends or your band. This is beyond sick, but he wanted to trick Dusty. He saw an opportunity to prank him and decided he was going to try to jump out the window and act like he committed suicide. So he jumped out the window and he grabbed onto this bar and he hung there. And Dusty thought that he jumped out the window and killed himself. Dusty Hill said all the way up till he died, he never smoked pot again after that. I thought, what a funny story. Wow. Not funny, but funny. But I'm like, man. But anyway, so they love this Elmore, and they promoted him to he's playing Dusty's bass now on tour with ZZ Top. They're coming to Northfield here pretty soon too.
I saw that.
I don't think I'm gonna go, but now if they were doing like a whole album of stuff that I really like, then I probably would go. But I'd still consider it. I think it's super expensive though. If I looked at it right, and I was like, man, it seems like a lot to see a really old ZZ Top, but
yeah.
But yeah, maybe they're coming pretty soon, and they're coming with this guy on bass. So he apparently does a pretty good job. He's got the big beard too, so he fits right in, and it apparently sounds pretty good. I've seen some clips here and there; it sounds pretty good. But I have this as a C+. I have this number 10, and I'm glad they kind of returned to some classic old ZZ Top before they decided to pretty much not put any more albums out. What did you think of La Futura?
So I liked this a lot more than I thought I would, and unfortunately, I had to rewrite my list. I had to write it again on the bottom because this one screwed up my list. Like, I had it all written out. I'm like, these guys are going down a bad path. So I was like kind of leaving a spot towards the end for this one. But yeah, man, I really liked this.
Awesome.
Just, it kind of blew me away. And this is the moment where I was like, okay, I'm glad we did this band, because this is an album I never would have given a chance at. I've never would have listened to it, and I was like, this is enjoyable. And again, maybe it's because I just listened to 4 in a row that I thought were pretty boring overall. Pretty, I don't know, like I felt like they were just going in the wrong direction, and maybe this was going to be it. But this was really, really good. I liked most of it. The first few, I know you mentioned, yep, like John said, he likes this album, sounds great. You did name 3 killer songs. I totally agree with you. Gots to Get Paid, Chartreuse, awesome. I do like Flying High. I do like Big Shiny 9, Have a Little Mercy, the very last one. I really, really liked this album. And for me to listen to them over and over again, I think it might settle in more where you had it. But I actually had it at number 5. I actually thought it was really impressive. Could be just the excitement of how good it was after a couple bad ones, but it
definitely was that. There was definitely that was going for it. So
yeah, it shot up the list, and I actually listened to it twice. I was like, okay,
did I really like that as much as I thought I did?
Yeah, and I listened to it again, but I mean, nice. I think it was more just because I had it on repeat, but I didn't turn it off that second time. Nice. Spotify will play it over again. So yeah, I actually had it as a B, and I had it number 5. Was kind of a shocker for me, but that's where it was at.
All right, yeah, 5. That's aggressive, but I mean, I liked it too, and there's a lot of those that run together. I could have probably got it up to probably about 7 too if I really went back and listened to that again and compared it with those other ones and not just listen to everything once. I probably could have got it up to number 7 too.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. So I'm going to go through my 15 ZZ Top albums. I'm going to start at the bottom.
Okay.
We got number 15, El Loco. Number 14, Triple X. Number 13, Mescalero. I believe that might be the only one we have that's the same ranking.
Maybe, yeah.
Number 12, Tejas. Number 11, Fandango. Number 10, La Futura. Number 9, Degueo. Number 8, Rhythmine. Number 7, Antenna. Number 6, ZZ Top's first album. Number 5, ZZ Top's second album. also known as Rio Grande Mud. Number 4, Tres Hombres, great stuff. Number 3, Recycler. Number 2, Afterburner. Number 1, Eliminator.
All right. That was a close second ranking, but here's the first place ranking. No,
Wow.
I'm just kidding, partner.
Jeez.
I'm just kidding.
Says the man in the Wu-Tang shirt.
I know, right? Number 15, XXX Triple X. Number 14, Rhythmine. Number 13, Moscato, or whatever the hell it's called.
Mescalero. Moscato. I love it.
Number 12, Antenna. Number 11, Recycler. Number 10, El Loco. Number 9, Tejas. Number 8, Real Mud. Number 7, The First ZZ Top album. Number 6, Fandango. Number 5, La Futura. Number 4, Afterburner. Number 3, Diguelo. Number 2, Eliminator. And number 1, 3 Men Tres Hombres.
Great
15
stuff,
to 1.
man. 15 albums. We did it in an hour and 35. Look at us.
I know.
We
Kicking
did
butt.
How many Machine Head albums were there? We took 2 hours to do that.
11, I think. 11.
Kind of shows you where we're at. Was it 11? Yeah.
Nope,
Kind
10.
of shows you where we're at musically and how much we like some stuff other than other stuff. But hey, ZZ Top's good. They're classic. There's not a lot about them I don't like. I mean, even like these weird buzzy fuzzy albums, there's not a lot I'm skipping there. It's just I don't like it nearly as much as the other stuff. So, but you know, they've always been good. You always kind of know pretty much what you're gonna get or what to expect from ZZ Top. You know, some variations up and down, but
yes, sir.
Kind of always know what you're gonna get from them.
Yep, and they stuck together, just the 3 of them.
Yeah, outstanding, man. I can't give them enough credit for that, dude. 51 years together, the 3 guys. That's awesome.
And death is what took them apart. Not their fighting, not their egos, just.
And honestly, I didn't read a single word anywhere that anybody had anything bad to say or the band almost ended. Like, I swear every album from like 5 to 10 for The Who, every album I read that this was almost the end of the band. This was almost the end of the band.
Yeah.
Like, nothing like that from ZZ Top. It's almost like these guys were the 3 best of friends from when they first met, and then that was that until death did them part, like you said.
That's right.
So, crazy. Good stuff.
Absolutely. Who we got next episode? Back to letter A.
Back to letter A. Back to the top.
Is it Avenged Sevenfold, I believe?
I believe it is. I believe it is Back to the Metal.
Yes.
Back to the Metal.
Back to the Metal. So we'll listen to some Avenged Sevenfold. I really, really like them. So I am looking forward to it. So we will get into them. Thank you again to John for joining us. Thank you to Brian S. once again for joining us. Thank you guys for being here and giving your comments about your albums that you like, and obviously Back to the Future and all those good times with ZZ Top. So thanks, guys.
Same without you.
Appreciate it.
Glad you guys were here.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Asia. Maybe the next time through. I think it's on the list. I think I did put them on the list. I think it's like 4 albums. I don't think there's that many albums anyway.
They only did 4 albums?
Really? I want to say I don't think there's very many.
Okay.
But I don't know. John would know. John's more of an Asia fan.
Hey, John, how many Asia albums are there? Okay. Well,
he's looking it up.
He doesn't know. Okay. All right. Anything else, partner, for
no
episode? All right.
I think we covered everything that there is to cover from ZZ Top. Wow. I was way wrong. 4, 8, 12, 13.
Okay.
13 Asia albums. You are correct.
Okay.
There was way more than 4. There's a ton. Yep.
Where is this one from? Where is this line from? What movie is this from? Brian, I believe it's from a movie. I believe.
Oh, Who Frames an Asia poster? I don't know. John Novak. That's my answer.
All right. Well,
what's it from? I'm dying to know.
I don't want to guess wrong now. I want Brian to say it just in case. Just in case. Yeah, 40-year-old virgin. That's what I was thinking. That's when the who is it? Ant-Man guy, Paul Rudd is with Seth Rogen, and they're going back and forth about their sexuality and making a joke about it. And I know that you like this brand of anyway.
I like the movie. I thought it was funny, but I think I've only seen it once, so
Okay.
that one's kind of lost on me. I don't remember all of the.
Yeah,
it didn't have the rewatchability of some other ones, but I'm sure I'd still find it funny if I watched it again. So,
all right.
You did frame an Asia poster, John?
He did. Okay. It
Awesome.
was
That's the answer.
Heat of the moment.
Yeah. Right.
Well, once again, thank you for watching the Two Bobs cast.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. We'll see you in the next one.
That's right. Rock on.
Woo!
Looks like you've been missing a lot of work lately.
I wouldn't say I've been missing it, Bob.
What would you say you do here?
God damn it. Bob, we love playing here tonight. My brother's ready.
It helps if you think of it as a game, Bob. Every game has a winner and a loser.
You must possess strength to inflict pain, Bob.